Tonight on Show Me How It's Done, I'm talking to Jude Kiah with Go West Transit.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you? We look at the brains behind the operation, and I sit down with the man himself. All that and more tonight on Show Me How It's Done. I'm Dave Mitchell, the host of tonight's episode of Show Me How It's Done. I'm a big fan of small business and how they work.
I'm Jude Kiah. I'm the director of Go West Transit. I started Go West in 1997. We actually started operations in February of 1999, and we moved into this facility in April of 2013. A number of things will change in the next 5 to 10 years, most of which will have to do with our infrastructure and the rebuilding of our fleet. And we try to get newer buses and also new shelters and benches, cameras in the buses. It'll be a lot of technological and local infrastructure change.
Now, when I heard I was going to be working with Jude Kiah, I was really excited. Jude's a great guy, he puts a ton of energy into all his projects, and really does a lot for the WIU campus. Hi, Jude.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Nice to meet you, Dave.
So, can you show me how it's done?
Absolutely.
I'm excited to see what Jude really has to show us today. He has a really brand new facility, and it's never really had an in-depth look like we're about to show you at home today.
This facility is 80,000 square feet. We got about $13 million to turn it into the facility that it is today. It's state-of-the-art. You're going to really enjoy seeing some of the things that we have in place in this building. We have our safety office, which not a big deal to you, but that bathroom in there is the only part of the building that doesn't have a suspended ceiling, and you ask why, and that's because we can conduct legal drug tests in that bathroom. And so that stops us from having to send people downtown in the middle of the night, because we do have to do drug tests up until 3 o'clock in the morning, which is the latest time that we run.
Why?
So that's been a big help to us.
Just random?
Yes, random, and they have to be done at every hour of our operation. We run till 3 o'clock in the morning on Fridays and Saturdays, so, and 2 o'clock on Thursdays, so we have to be able to conduct those tests here. And this is the fixed route dispatch center. You can see that it's built up so that he's face to face with me while he's seated and I'm standing. That's on purpose. He has control of every door in the facility, plus he can see in and out on every door in the facility. So this is really the nerve center of our operation. He can see in real time where every bus is en route. He has access by radio to every bus that's running. And as I said, access, and he gets to open and close every door in the facility from this place. That window there is the only window you'll see that goes through this wall. And you say to yourself, what's significant about that? That window costs $9,000. Now, why does a window cost $9,000? It costs $9,000 because it is fireproof for 2 hours. And for glass to be fireproof for 2 hours, it's a pretty startling thing. Now, why would we do such a thing? It's the only place in which the dispatch can look out into the garage and have primary. They have cameras, but that gives them primary eye on what's out here.
The details were key in this project. You can really see how Jude paid attention to every last one of them.
If you look up in the air here, you will see some skylights. Now, it's not a really bright day today, but the skylights on top here are not normal skylights. They're GPS controlled, and they refract any light in the sky regardless of where the sun is in the sky, and it tracks it such that we get the maximum amount of ambient light in the building at any given time. We think that's a pretty cool energy-saving piece. The lights that are on in here are prox lighting, so if nobody moved in here for a span of about 5 or 10 minutes, they would turn off. And so that's another energy-saving feature. You'll notice that when we left the administrative facility, it's colder out here than it is in there. That's because our buses don't need it to be 70 degrees. 50 is plenty. And actually, 50 is quite warm for our buses.
Jude is such a knowledgeable person, so I'll let him take the lead on this one.
These reels right here are what we call stingers, and they are very helpful. Most people don't know that buses run primarily on air. Obviously, they have fuel, but much of what is controlled by electricity in a car is controlled by air in a bus. So we need to have them be aired up most of the time. The suspension, the windshield wipers, the brakes, they're all controlled by air. You simply plug that into the back of the bus, it's automatically turned into 100% air, and we save all that time and fuel by idling, and the buses do not recycle. So that's a huge, huge help.
So you're building this building, obviously architects, designers, people who have worked with bus facilities before. How did you have an idea that you wanted?
We knew that we wanted all those things. We didn't know how we were going to get them all in here. So there were certain things about this building that you were worried about. One of which was the height of the roof. Another which were these poles, and they are part of the superstructure, and you'll notice we put guardrails in so that the buses don't take any of those out. If the buses were to take those out, this building would be compromised. So we thought it was important to put those guardrails in to make sure that that didn't occur. Remember, this building wasn't built for this feature. It wasn't meant for transit work. There were kilns in this ground, and you can still see where some of those were. And they were 4 and 5 feet in the ground. There were 6 or 7 of those kilns. This was a 250,000 square foot building. We demolished about 2/3 of it and turned it into an 80,000 square foot facility. That took some imagination, but it's a giant win for both the community and for the transit system, because that's just wonderful for us.
Coming up on Show Me How It's Done.
Look there, emergency, pull for help.
And I asked the burning questions.
I've had many opportunities to leave the university. 4 different cities have asked me to come and run their transit system. I do want to show you this bus, and my staff gives me the business about this bus. This bus is one of the first 50 buses ever made by this company, the Gillig bus, and this bus is it will be 34 years old, I think this month. I think it's 34 years old this month. It is still in active service. It is the oldest active bus in the United States. I basically won't let them throw it away. So we have gutted it over the time that we've owned it. It is also one of the first 6 buses that we ever owned at Go West, and the last remaining original bus that we've had. So
Jude really showed me how he's always ready to look into the future. Having the oldest active Gillig bus in the United States, they're proud of their roots and where they came from.
We keep her going. They don't particularly like that I keep it, but it is an historical piece for us, and we do. I saw it running last week. I saw it out running recently.
So as long as you're at Go West,
pretty much. Yeah, unless we just absolutely have no room to put it anywhere, it will be. This is the maintenance area. This is where Disney World happens. This is really the core of things being state-of-the-art for Go West and for McDonough County Public Transportation. There are 6 lifts in this facility. As we start at this end, these lifts here are like 30,000-pound lifts, and they're generally used for these vehicles, although everything except for the large vehicles they can handle. I mean, they're definitely big enough. But these, they might weigh 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. These are 30,000-pound lifts. This is automatic delivery of fluid. So I will show you in the back, and if you have your keys in it, the oil and all fluid is delivered to a room in the back, and then automatically brought through these hoses to this area, and then they just dial in what they want to put in, and it just sucks it out and puts the new stuff back as well. Oh, absolutely. All right, so that makes it much easier to recycle, much easier to deliver the oil from place to place. So antifreeze, transmission fluid, oil, it's all delivered right here. This is our fueling facility, Dave. It's special for a couple of reasons. One, it is entirely, it has all the latest technology and safety and heat. You can see the sensors there. They all sense any issues, any problems. We have emergency shutoffs on all of them. But the most impressive thing about this is used to be when we buy our diesel, it would pump at 7 gallons a minute. That's about when you go to the grocery store, you go to the gas station, that you're going to get 7 gallons a minute. This diesel pumps at 40 gallons a minute. Now you asked earlier, why don't we have drivers doing it? And that's why. The EPA says that you spill more than 25 gallons, you've got a problem. So at 40 gallons a minute, it wouldn't take long to have a 25-gallon spill.
Right.
So it also shortens the amount of time that we spend in fueling, when you can fuel an entire vehicle in less than 30 seconds.
And how many gallons go in the bus?
125, but we never let it get down. Okay, so if you're caught, look at that, emergency, pull for help. So if you were caught in here and this door was closed, and something happened in here, and nobody knew what had happened, if you pulled that lever, go ahead and pull it. It would let somebody know that there was something wrong with you, and there's a strobe light going off here as well. Say, hey, come and find me. There's a problem in this room. And we just reset it. So
Is that every room has one of those?
no, these closed rooms.
Coming up.
So if somebody someday were to write a book on you,
Stupid.
long after you're gone, where did it all really start for you?
Boy, that's a great question.
And to see bonus clips from tonight's episode, hit us up on Facebook. Facebook.com/ShowMeHowIt'sDone. Well, you saw the place, but now you're going to get to meet the man behind it all. Jude Kiah, the brains behind the operation. Go West isn't the only thing Jude worries about on a daily basis. He's the director of the university bookstore, a professor, a motivational speaker, a basketball official, a father, a husband. Jude has a lot going on. We're going to sit down with him. He's going to tell us all about it and how he became the director of Go West. Jude says he never thought he'd get to where he is today, but if he had to do it all over again, he would.
None of those things ever came to my mind, but what did come to my mind and what those things do fit into. I had, like you, a very active college career. I was president of our residence hall council. I was the sports director of I had started a radio station, and I really liked the work in higher ed. And it also was a time that sort of changed my life. And so I wanted to be involved in a 4-year public institution in a rural area. Well, that's kind of what Western is, isn't it? That's what I do for a living, and I very much like it, and I enjoy the idea of taking my skills or talents and applying them in a place that helps the most people, and helps people like I needed. I came from a very poor family, and being able to go to college and build a life for myself was a very, very big deal. And I know that there's a lot of students here who are in that same place, and it feels pretty worthwhile to me to give back in that way.
What's next for Jude Kiah?
I will continue. I have no interest in, I've had many opportunities to leave the university. 4 different cities have asked me to come and run their transit system. I have not bid on that. Really, it's 2 things for me. One is giving our students the best opportunity. Why do I teach? That takes 10 or 15 hours of my week that I don't really have. And it's because it's the most direct way that I can help, that I can be in someone's life. And I really like that. That's really what I do for a living. And so I serve at the pleasure of the president. I serve at the pleasure of the university. I look for things that are broken, and I try to find ways to fix them. And the other side of it is this. When we started the bus system, we had 6 employees. Now we have 125. I'm a people guy. I'm a management guy. I like to develop people. I like to see people achieve to their best, do what they can, be what they can be. I take that pretty seriously. I do very much enjoy that. So I think a lot of other people may be annoyed by the idea of managing people, but for me, I don't feel that way at all.
You never once referenced to the point of Macomb and Go West. Is there a possibility you could go?
I don't want to, but at some point it becomes a numbers game. I mean, if the opportunity availed itself at Western, then I would love it. I've been here 20 years, Dave. I'd love to stay at Western, but I don't really worry about that as much as saying what's best for my family and my children and my wife.
So, you're known as the guy who emails at all hours of the day. I could text you at 2 a.m. and I'd probably get something back. When does Jude's day begin? I mean, is it 5:30? Is it 8:30? Is it
6:43 a.m.
Anything significant from that?
Yeah, that's when my kids get up for school. We get up and we get them ready for the day and whatever, and then I start texting and emailing about 3 minutes after that, and as soon as I get to my phone, and then that goes my average day. Last night I went to bed at 1:30. That's pretty normal for me. 1:30. Late. Sometimes if I'm working hard, it'll be 2 or 2:30, 3.
So if somebody someday were to write a book on you,
long
after you're gone, what would the first sentence be on your life? I mean, where did it all really start for you?
Boy, that's a great question. I'd say a couple of things. One, I have a really strong spiritual belief that God gave me a set of gifts, and that I'm to be judged on how I have used those gifts in this life to better this world. And people ask me, why do you work so hard? Why are you so involved in your work? Because that's the mission that I'm on. I have only so much time that this body is going to work, and I am put here to work as hard as I can. I don't think about what fun can I have. I don't think of that. I think about how much time do I have left and how much more can I accomplish. I would want two things to happen. One is that I was given an upbringing that set my values in a particular way, and secondly, that when it's all said and done, that people would say that I worked really hard, and it was to the betterment of other people.
And Go West is the world's largest rural transit system. It is one of a kind. With Jude behind the wheel, Go West is sure to make it to the next bus stop.
Thanks, Jude. Thanks.
If you know of a local business that should be featured on the show, visit us online at facebook.com/showmehowitsdone.